The Ministry of Education will abolish boarding schools for grades 1 to 9 from 2023 in a move that's coming just 6 weeks to the reopening of schools and has caught many parents flat-footed. Announcing the hugely significant policy shift, the Principal Secretary for Basic Education, Dr. Belio Kipsang, said the learners need to be close to their parents and guardians. This comes as a shocker for parents whose children are already enrolled in boarding schools, but the move was praised by head teachers who insisted parents must take up the responsibility of raising their children. Reader Kering Chebet with more.
The government has hinted at phasing out boarding schools moving forward. Government also hinted at abolishing classification of public secondary school as national, extra county and county institutions.
Therefore, as we move forward, day schooling will be the direction.
Move to phase out boarding schools, according to Education Principal Secretary Belio Kipsang, will give parents adequate time to interact and mold their children to become responsible citizens, as opposed to the current situation where learners spend most of their time away from their parents.
Because that's the only way we shall be able to engage with our children. And the first 9 years of our learning between grade 1 and grade 9, the direction that government will be taking is day schooling. And I'm aware this is a critical TOR of our presidential working party. I urge our parents that it is our primary responsibility as first educators to work with our children. I am a parent, and even ourselves as head teachers, we are parents, and we cannot outsource our responsibilities. We must remain with our responsibilities. We co-parent with teachers. We don't outsource parenting to teachers. And therefore, we must work together towards making our children acquire the values that we expect of them.
Kipsang emphasized that the government was keen to ensuring that learners, especially in grade 1 up to grade 9, are domiciled in day schools as part of strengthening parental engagement for quality learning.
85% of students learn in their local environment.
The PS made the remarks during the ongoing 18th edition of Kenya Primary School Head Teachers Association Annual General Meeting and Conference in Mombasa. Kipsang further noted that day schooling concept is one of the critical terms of reference for the Presidential Working Party on education reforms, noting that Kenya has the highest number of children in boarding schools globally. This is despite 70% of learning institutions in the country being day schools.
You know, this country is one of the rare countries where 28% of our children are in boarding schools. Globally, rarely will you get any country that goes beyond 15%. Rarely. Even in the African setup, ours is the highest anywhere. So we need to start socializing ourselves that we need to be with our children. And the only way we shall be with our children is for these children to be in day school environment. So let's start socializing ourselves towards that end.
On the plan to do away with the classification of secondary schools, President William Ruto, in a speech read on his behalf by PS, announced that the task force on the competency-based curriculum CBC will submit proposals towards this end.
That consideration be given to low-cost boarding schools in the ASAL areas, together with the feeding program in our schools, to enable us to realize the 100% retention. Last review on capitation was done in 2010, where capitation was kept at 1,400 per child. Sir, this figure falls far below the requirements to effectively run a
Addressing the head teachers, Kipsang reminded them that they have a huge responsibility ahead now that the junior secondary school have been domiciled in their learning centers. Kipsang urged primary school head teachers to start data verification of their respective schools to ascertain their capacity to host junior secondary school.
I will be asking you as our head teachers to start validation, verification of data of our schools. We would want to appreciate each and every of our 23,000 public schools so that we can know and be sure that each one of us has capacity to host the junior school. And where we think that we can share the responsibility with our neighboring school,
Kipsang stated that schools will be required to share some of the laboratory facilities, considering that learners in junior secondary will be introduced to basic sciences. As a result, the PS further asked the school heads to ensure they capture all the relevant information about schools and learners in the National Education Management Information System (NEMIS), which he said will be the single source of truth going forward.
That say is that the teacher shortage is a reality in this country.
On the school feeding program, Kipsang assured that the government will continue to process it, noting that this was captured in Kenya Kwanza's education charter to double the number of children who benefit from it.
On school feeding, we shall continue to progress. In the President's education charter, the President committed himself to double the number of children who benefit from school feeding program. And I'm sure we are working towards that as a government. Finally, I would want to acknowledge all our stakeholders who are here and urge them that let's work together in delivering the investment that we need to put.
The president had stated that the government is committed to building more classrooms in public institutions to decongest primary schools. Ruto observed that schools are congested as a result of the progressive free primary education and a 100% transition to secondary programs.
It is also informed by affordability of education. So I will be working with members of parliament so that the additional facilities that are required for junior secondary, the government of Kenya will work with their members of parliament so that they can be delivered on time to provide seamless movement of our children across the education ladder.
The president at the same time noted that both public and private primary schools today stand at 32,000, while secondary school today stand at 10,000.
From a majority of the stakeholders again, that the burden of cost on the delivery on CBC, especially on parents, should be reduced.
For Masomo News Live, I'm Rida Chebet Kering.
The process that we have gone through